Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order. And the next item of business is the municipal mail insertion policy. So, anybody like to make a motion on that? Councillor Carrier?
That council accept the municipal mail insertion policy number 68, 2014 for information.
Discussion on this item? Councillor Long?
I don't see, when we initially discussed it, the intent was to allow nonprofits, if I recall right, nonprofits, and set a policy that would allow people to utilize our utility bill mailouts to put in their flyers or special announcements coming up. I don't see it as being too onerous, and I'm kind of disappointed that that only town mailings and no insertions from nonprofits would be allowed. I think it does a disservice. It allows us an opportunity for communication, better communication with the community, and I don't see it as being too onerous. But that being said, I will be voting against this because I believe we should be implementing this in a better way.
Councillor Emter?
Councillor Long is correct in at least part of what he said. There was a discussion. The other side of the fence was that it should only be town information and town dealings. The taxpayer is going to pay for everything involved on this, right? It is going to add whether it's 1 hour, 2 hours each week or each month, whatever. Where do you draw the line? What happens if you have 7 different organizations all asking at the same time? You change the envelopes, are you going to get bigger envelopes? What do you do? So we did ask administration to come back with a policy. The policy was presented. I like the policy. I would vote for it. However, I noticed that the motion that was put forward, it does not agree with what I'm thinking.
Questions? Comments? Councillor Rose?
I think I'm agreeing mostly with the idea of the policy as it fits. I do like the idea of being able to help out, but I know from an administrative perspective and from owning my own business and having secretarial staff, how much more work it adds to the day-to-day operations every time you sort of add something to their role. And I can see where I even looked at, because I did respond to a Facebook issue when we were sort of being attacked a little bit on the fact that we did not put out the school safety brochure in the mail as an insert. And we looked at what other options, what other things we do. We do lots of things as well for the school district or the school division. But I looked at the cost of how much it would be to do a post office mailing, and they're only 14 cents, and they'll stuff all the boxes, and it's done a lot quicker. And then it's not even a weight issue, because the other thing that's going to be an issue for us is if we approve, if it's nonprofit and we give some sort of limits on approving certain organizations, then we're going to have to approve a weight, and we're going to have to approve a size, because it's going to have to fit within our envelopes. And if it's heavier, we're going to have to pay more postage. So I mean, it's good in theory, but there's so many other complicated issues that could end up increasing our costs and our time.
Councillor Deynaka?
Nope, I like it.
Councillor Panasiuk?
No comments.
Councillor Carrier?
My only comment is we have the sign out front. We can utilize that. And if they want to get a message out, like Councillor Rose has said, it's only 14 cents for to have the mailboxes.
Did you turn that off?
Have your pamphlets put in there.
Excuse me.
No?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
Are there any other comments? motion, could you please read it back?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Carrier that council receive the municipal mail insertion policy number 68, 2014 for information.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion is defeated. Councillor Emter?
I'd like to make a motion that council approve the municipal mail insert policy 68, 2014 as presented.
Any discussion? All in favor? 4, opposed? Motion is carried. Next item of business is the new sidewalks. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Panasiuk?
I move that council forward the cost to construct a sidewalk from UFA to Green Acres Apartments and from UFA to the new hospital site to the 2015 capital budget deliberation.
Comments? Councillor Carrier?
No comments?
Councillor Emter? Councillor Long?
No.
Councillor Deynaka? Councillor Rose? Councillor,
Does anybody know roughly what it costs to build sidewalks? What are the costs involved?
Mr. Tamaklo?
I spoke to Public Works and will do the research. It might be a little bit, but we may have to make priority decisions as to existing projects and what, it will come back to council.
Yeah, I just wonder
Yeah.
if it's worth it.
But we'll do the investigation and have numbers for you for the 2015 budget deliberation.
And I think there's gotta be some engineering costs to make sure it's, you know, in the right spot, it's level and the curb and gutters or, cause it's still gotta be able to drain or all of those things. And a lot of that, I don't see anything, I don't know if that's ever been built into our plans, for that to be put in, so there's gonna have to be some extra work all along those. And you'd think that would be in the plan when it was developed, and I'm not sure.
Actually, I believe is not sidewalks part of that road construction
Which one, which will cost
to the new hospital.
But what you're referring to is different. From Green Acres, where my mansion is, to U of A.
Speak up, please.
And then from UFA to POPs.
To the new hospital site.
POPs.
And then they've got the new sidewalks, I believe, is going in with the new road from the intersection to the hospital. So there's gonna be a sidewalk there, is
Yeah.
my understanding, but nothing joining it, it's gonna be a sidewalk
to
starting in the
yeah.
middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay, but your motion reads to the new hospital.
It'll be to, yes, so,
Almost to.
almost to, I
Almost
guess,
to.
where the new.
To the intersection.
To the intersection.
Yeah.
53rd and 40th.
Okay, all right. Are there any other questions regarding this? No? All in favor? This item is carried. We now have a development permit, 10-2-14, 2014. Could we, have a motion then, please? Councillor Panasiuk?
That council approved development permit number 10-2014 under the conditions to obtain a building permit and all other permits as required by Safety Code Council and meet all safety requirements, that the developer maintains a valid business license with the town of High Prairie, and that compliance with the town of High Prairie current land use bylaw number 20-2005.
All right, comments on this, Councillor Carrier?
Glad to see some improvements happening in town.
Councillor Emter? Councillor Panasiuk?
Which one is this? Which?
Shell.
It's the
Shell station.
The Shell station, oh, okay. That's what I was sort of thinking, but I wasn't sure. I was gonna look up the address when I got here.
All right, Councillor Long?
Nope, it's good to see.
Councillor Deynaka?
I have no problem with it. I would just like to make a comment that out of all of the applications that we've seen, this is completely filled out.
Councillor Rose? I only have a question regarding the roof. Is it, the roof addition, is it going to the south or is it going to the north?
To the south.
To the south.
The dash line to the south,
To the
over
south.
top the car wash.
Yeah.
So, given that, if that building is built right on the property line, how much water will be falling onto the adjacent property?
Oh, hold on.
They'll have to adhere to bylaws.
I don't know what the bylaw is on that one.
I mean, we can check, I don't have the bylaw, with me, but part of the condition is to make sure that we follow the bylaw.
So they put a eaves trough on and run it to the alleyway and into the drain.
Any other questions? All in favor? Approved. Motion is carried. Next item is the peace officer report. And Councillor Emter?
Make a motion, council receive the peace officer report, May 2014. Reports from senior police officer Alan Bloom for information.
And are there any questions on this report? And there's no one here to speak to it, Mr. Tamaklo?
No, but I can, if there are any questions, I can take them to the officers and get some answers back to you.
Any other, Councillor Deynaka?
I just have a couple. The West Service contract, what is that referring to? Continue for another year, is that the one with McLennan and Dawn and Blair or whatever it is? Okay.
Councillor Panasiuk?
Just curious if, I know that we had talked about doing some advertising or some, about the unsightly garbage during pickup days. Has that been effective? Has there been a reduction? Does anybody, have you heard anything? Is it working? What have we done?
That was gonna be my comment also.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that there'll be a flyer or an insert put in and, a gentle reminder, they've got 30 days to start complying. Might have a mad run on garbage cans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Deynaka?
And this is just my personal opinion. The format of this report doesn't seem to change a whole bunch. And it just seems to be the same thing over and over again with a couple numbers inserted. Unfortunately, I wish Alan was here. I'm getting, I guess I'm getting somewhat frustrated because we keep reading the majority of speeding tickets and warnings and warnings and warnings and warnings. When are we going to be a little bit more enough with the warnings?
Mr. Tamaklo?
I think that's the jurisdiction of peace officers and police officers, and unfortunately, I cannot tell when people should give tickets. It's a line that I have to be very, I mean, from what I do in my other job, we're very careful in trying to tell law enforcement what to do. It's an observation.
Councillor Deynaka?
The last one, I'm not sure, I did discuss this with Crystal. I'm not sure if anybody had gone into their correspondences recently, but there was a letter from Kathy Gill, who took a dog to the pound, and she basically took the dog and was going to drop it off there, but took the dog and I think took it home with her or took it somewhere else, but she was appalled by the state of the kennel, by the stench. There was a couple dogs that were in a pen together that started fighting and they hosed them down, and the person that she met there said they were MD dogs, so we don't touch them. Like I said, I talked to Crystal, and Crystal stated that a complaint was lodged with the SPCA, they did come and look at the pound, and they said everything was fine. Crystal's trying to get a copy of the inspection. I was just a little, I was a little upset by that letter.
Tablet does not work, so it's.
And I don't tend to check my correspondences, but I just happened to, and it was there, but like I said, I talked to Crystal about it. I don't know, again, this is maybe this isn't the place, maybe that's something we could bring to the municipal agreement regarding, because it was MD dogs, like I don't know if they're charged for housing the dogs, or if it's just an agreement.
What is the agreement?
I don't know.
With the MD?
I'm not too sure, but this one got from the ASPCA regarding that letter. And if I may suggest a brief letter, I can read it. As per your request to provide a letter stating no concerns were identified on the date of inspection, it is the policy of the ASPCA not to grant requests such as this. The inspection is only valid for the date it was conducted, and any communication cannot suggest there were no issues of concern prior to or subsequent to the inspection. I can, however, state that on the day the inspection was conducted, my observations and discussion with staff did not reveal any violations of the Animal Protection Act. I hope this is of assistance, and I'd like to thank the town of High Prairie staff who were helpful and cooperative during the inspection.
Councillor Deynaka?
I just want to say that I believe the letter was from June 24th that she had sent that. Is that right, Crystal? I forgot to bring the letter.
June 24th, yes.
Yeah.
The
June
reply came July 9th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So within the 2-week period, it was
Yes.
cleaned up.
Actually, since I can't get into my tablet, could I
You
see
can-
this
you can do
letter
that.
is addressed to mayor and councillors, and I'm not even sure how many other councillors can get into their tablets anymore. So perhaps administration could photocopy and put it in our mailbox.
Okay,
Our
awesome.
copies. Councillor Deynaka?
I did ask Crystal to forward if we get any correspondences, cause I'm not, like, a lot of times I forget to check there, if she could send them to my email, but she said that she's working on a link on the website
Yeah.
that we can access that.
Yeah, everyone will have a login pass and code, so all of your correspondence will be accessible from our website. And it will be secure, so it won't be for public access, it will be for councillors only, so you'll be able to access it anywhere from our website.
And when will that take place?
I'm working on a trial right now.
Okay. Well, that would help immensely. I'm disappointed to hear this. Did we respond back to this lady at all?
The response is what we got from the ASPCA in terms of.
Did we respond to Ms. Guild?
We just received that. We've been trying to locate that SPCA bylaw officer for the last week, and we just received the response today. Yeah.
July 9th.
So we will be
We'll be
responding
forwarding the information to them.
to her. Councillor Emter?
Did you say Mrs. Gill? Kathy?
Pardon me?
Was it Kathy Gill?
Yes.
Do you
No,
want me-
sorry, Karen.
Oh,
Did I say Kathy? I'm sorry.
That's what I thought.
said, it was from Karen.
okay.
Cause she went on May 9th, and then she sent the letter June 24th, and then it was inspected on July 9th. So there's a pretty big gap in there. I just wanted to bring that to the attention, because I probably figured a lot of people didn't get that correspondence.
All right. Any other comments? Just a question.
Does the MD have a location for dogs? Or are the only ones that take them?
We have an agreement, but I'm not sure what the agreement terms are.
So look at that group.
Any other comments on the report? No? continuous complaints of cat. Live traps are being used a fair amount, 0 live traps out. So if they're being used a lot, why is there 0 traps out? Councillor Carrier?
I think this goes back to what Councillor Deynaka was saying. In the report, there is a lot of, it seems like we've been reading kind of the same one for a while. It talks about the Mary Rain animal rescue, that's been in here for quite some time. So I'm assuming it needs some work.
Regarding the cats, I guess I would like to know, does the administration keep track of the cat complaints?
I think the peace officers do.
Could we have an actual number at the next meeting
Okay.
of the cat complaints? I noticed they were talking about, there was a documentary regarding cats on television recently, and the Calgary Animal Control Officer has really received recognition for the way cats are being handled in Calgary, which was a hotbed of feral cats everywhere, and they have turned that around dramatically. They're down to 10% feral cats, I think they said, and it was through licensing and picking up, proactively picking up cats, trapping them. We have a facility. You can take those cats there that are feral, and if they're licensed, then they go back to the owners, and their owners are told keep them inside or don't let them out at night. So I guess it stems from how many complaints we have. So we have a motion. Is there any other comments? All in favor of accepting the report for information? Motion is carried. Next item of business is Public Works, nothing there.
The alternate track.
Community Services, East Library. You have a motion, Councillor Emter?
The council directs administration to write a letter supporting the increase in provincial funding for the public library services for the mayor or deputy mayor's signature, and CC the letter to the High Prairie District Municipal Library and Pearl Callahay's MLA for less systemic.
Did you want to add also Peace Library System? Because that was one of the requests
It's going to that.
at the bottom of page 51.
And to Peace Library System.
All right, discussion? Councillor Deynaka?
Being that I'm the library liaison, I think we should support this in that the library is a lot more than just books. They offer a lot of services that are aided through the Peace Library System. Ordering of, between the libraries, you can get what it is. If this library doesn't have it, another one has, they can, get it to you, and I think it's something that we should support.
Councillor Long?
Again, libraries historically have always had problems funding from provincial agencies. They're the cornerstone of our public education system. It starts young children reading early. And using numbers from 2010, 4 years out of date, clearly shows that the need for increased funding is there. But as we all have seen time and again, the province has no money because it's not an election year. Maybe we'll get it sometime soon.
Okay, Councillor Panasiuk?
No comments.
Councillor Emter?
No comment.
All in favor? This item is carried. The next item of business is the CAO's report. Mr. Tamaklo?
So just a couple of things to highlight. The upgrade has been moved to the 28th, right? supposed to start the major upgrade on the 49th Street. Supposed to start on July 9th. It's moved to July 28th. The issue of sweepers and painting lines, I've had discussions with Public Works, and I mean, there have been a few issues with the sweeper. It's back now, but my understanding is that they're just a little behind what they're doing. They have 2 or 3 people that they have to, they've kind of advertised, got one person, and moved one person to the other job, and they advertised again. So there's a little bit that they can do more, but they still have human resource issues to worry about. Again, we did an interview, and happy to, hire Keli Tamaklo to be our development assistant. He brings in a very solid media background and a very enthusiastic learner, trying to catch up on the development side. I've always argued that it's always best to train our people here. They live here, and they will get to learn things and be part of the community and retain the knowledge here. So I'm very, very, very happy to have him there. Incidentally, Madam Chair, we happen to be Kellys, so the 2 Kellys. I'm not alone anymore. I have somebody to watch over my back. Again, the treasurer is gone on holidays, and I'm very, very grateful for the kind and generous work that he's done. I've noted that. And on behalf of the staff, I want to say a very big thank you to her for, I mean, a man of integrity, works hard, and you can't find any better human being than a treasurer. And I'm very grateful for the work that he's done for the town. We have a webinar, and this is very good because, and we got it very cheap. It's $149. I'm part of ICIMA, which is the International County Managers Association, so we get discounts. And so it's a webinar for the staff to learn about dealing with council. And so on July 23rd, in my office, we'll have a session from 11 o'clock to 12:30 for senior management, and go through some very useful discussions from George Carr. And I'm glad we can provide it at a very, very inexpensive cost. I also talked with Eli Mina. I'm sure most of you should know him. He's had lots of workshops from Edmonton, all over the place. A very effective team builder. I've taken his courses about 4 times. And he comes in with a very, very strong ability to unite leaders and make them better decision makers. The downside to Eli Mina is that he lives in BC, and he charges $8,000 a day, and then you have to add the cost of travel and all of those things. So a little expensive. My thoughts on that is if we were having the MD or having other boards and having so many other organizations to chip in, then we can have a round table kumbaya and spread the cost. So on the side of trying to achieve the same thing, because almost close to a year, and I think council could use some governance structure and responsibilities, and also some collaborative process between council and management. I've been thinking about that. So I spoke to Municipal Affairs, I spoke to Lisa, I spoke to Alex, and there's a little ground where we could, and you could give me some suggestions, where we could have either 1 day or maybe, let's see, let me start with my premise of it. Even a 3-day retreat workshop. So we come in at 5 o'clock, have a meal, and then the first session will have, say, governance responsibilities from Municipal Affairs is for free. And then the second day, have a meal, and then 6 o'clock to 10, have the collaboration workshop, building teams, again from Municipal Affairs is for free. And then on the third day, we can have some communication and team building among ourselves. That's a thought process. So keep that in mind. The other thing I thought is that these things will happen in August or September, and I think, Madam Chair, you said you'll be traveling or be on holidays in September, so it could be end of August or it could be in October. But meanwhile, what do we do to build teams? So we're always having meetings, we don't have time to retreat, and I was wondering maybe next Tuesday, Wednesday, I did this with the old council when we went through the role of the municipality, council and administration. I still have the paperwork, refocus ourselves on the municipal purposes, council's principal role, general duties of councillors, look at the role of the CEO, have some discussions on why we're here as a team, and do a workshop. Maybe next week could be a good time, but instead of waiting all the time for the August and the October thing, maybe start having that small retreat. 5 o'clock, get together, 6 o'clock, have the workshop, and then go from there. I thought I would run that by you. So those are my thoughts.
Okay, so we'll go over the report first and then look at the action plan. So comments on Councillor Carrier?
I had a few questions. You answered a few about the George Cuff and the Keli Mina presentations. In regards to the painting and sweeping, I had some concern, a concerned citizen phoning me. Why hasn't the street been swept? This individual's street has not been swept at all last year. It took, after she phoned me, guess what happened a little while later, the street did get swept, so I also had other people calling and complaining that the streets in this town are very gross. When you're driving around, it does not look inviting, it just looks dirty. You watch a truck drive through town, there's nothing but dust going everywhere. That street sweeper needs to be out, and it needs to be out in full force. We need to keep our town clean, tidy, and neat. And also congrats to Kelly Shelfer for joining our team. Glad to have him. Our website looks great. You go on Facebook, you see there's updates. You've got pictures of Barron Oil Field, Joe Courtley's land getting developed. It's good to see that on our website. It's positive, like it. And he answered my other questions, so thanks.
Councillor Emter?
Just a clarification, in your first bulletin, June 25th, 2014 resolutions, please find attached to my report an implementation update of resolutions passed by council on July 9th. Yeah. So
You got it.
I was like, first one I've seen, I don't think I've passed it yet.
My apologies for slipping.
That's all.
Thank you.
Councillor Panasiuk?
Just clarification, I thought we had one street sweeper and it was down for a while, or do we have sweepers, like, is it
Sweeper.
Sweeper.
It was down for a while.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yes, sir.
And I got thinking about, I was sort of looking through all of our charts there, and we don't have, who does the maintenance on, like, our buildings? For example, the Moose Tooth building, or going out maintaining the airport. Who's that? Like, there's no carpenter or handyman, and there's nothing like that in our org chart.
Yeah, we don't have that. We have a manager for facilities, which is Brian. So if something needs to be done, then he has to get the resources to get it done. Okay. Yeah, maybe whether to contract them or to do it. But I know the roof for the airport was being done, and was being done by some of our public works.
Councillor Long?
Regarding the street cleaning, no, I'm good. I like the report, it was concise, and again, covered. Well.
Councillor Deynaka?
I just have a question, a couple of things. On your George Cuff, the single most important key to a successful municipality is the relationship between a council and its management team. Now, this webinar you're having is just for office staff?
It's for the senior management. Yes.
Okay. The second thing, regarding, the cost for Eli Mina. If municipal affairs can do it for free, why would we look at spending $8,000?
Yeah, so I did clarify myself on that, right? I'm not saying we're spending 8,000.
No, but
Yeah, but
that's what his cost is, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if municipal affairs will give us the training for free, why would we be looking at anybody else?
they offer different things, right? And so the question is, I think we'll try municipal affairs. We want to be the best governance management team in Alberta. I mean, that's our goal, to set the town of High Prairie. So we'll do the things that we have to, and if we have to ratchet up and then use cost, economics of scale, then I'll talk to Bill or talk to Candy Kosher. I've taken his courses before. He's done it for so many people and he's so good, but the cost is very prohibitive. Can we have economics of scale? If we can, maybe that's what we need to do, but not now.
Anything else?
In your, discussions about the retreat or whatever, are you looking, like in your mind, are you looking at just straight evenings during the week or a weekend thing, or I guess that would be something we would decide if we choose to go in that regards.
I kind of thought about the evenings because a lot of people have very committed jobs, right? And so if you need to think about the weekdays, we'll be asking too much of council. But if we can reasonably break it into 3 days, 4 hours each, maybe that would work. But ultimately depends on council to make that call as to what you want to do. And I'll be able to give to you what municipal affairs is planning to do, how many hours they want to get it done. And the third part is whether you want to do the short one that I have just for 4 hours in the evening and go from there.
Councillor Rose?
The major upgrade is straight up just paving, right? They're not just patching that road, Kelly?
It's a major upgrade. It's the one that we spend about 900,000 on? Yeah.
Which is
It just
digging it
digging
up,
it up,
change the
injecting
water lines.
design and then they're repaving that.
Yeah. Similar to the one opposite Smithy's, is it Tom Chow?
All right.
Yes. Yeah. Tom said, it's not been done for 30 years. Thank you, Kelly, for coming to town.
I said, best road in town. And I like the idea of the workshops or retreats or whatever we want to call it, and I totally would be for supporting the getting going on that even as early as Tuesday if we can finish something.
One concern I have is with Eli Mina. Was that a tendered consultant? Was that consultant, was it tendered out?
Oh, no, I didn't. I just had a discussion with him.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know what he can do. And if, okay, our request for proposal policy is very clear. If I get 3 people, I don't have to come to council. Okay, it's very clear. But if I'm not going to get 3 people, then I'll come to council because then I need to be very transparent with you. Right? So if I mention the 8,000, it's because I know Eli, I know what he can do, right? And it's just a discussion. Council will have to approve that. There's no way Eli is going to come to town without council's approval.
And you would also be trying to get other municipalities to,
To cost share, and that makes
Cost share.
sense. I still have George Caff in terms of governance in my mind. And I talked to Don Cummings, a very good friend of mine. He's a great consultant, very good friend of George. We'll be having coffee at one point in time. If I can get George is also about $8,000 a day, right? But those guys are good at what they do. If George comes here and we can get it, we can get an MD, we can get people here, they can transform this town. So, but it has to be, with economics of scale, makes sense.
so this webinar, will that be available online afterwards?
I don't know, but I think we're getting the CD run. Yeah, yeah.
So council can take a look at this afterwards.
I will take a look. If it's something that's pertinent to council, I will I'll let council have that information. Because a webinar, they want to questions, staff questions back and forth.
But it's not just,
I don't know what it contains, but.
it's not just it's just not the management of the town of Prairie. It is other towns involved too.
Yeah, it's a webinar for other towns, yes. But what I want to do is make sure exactly that, I know when I called them, because I wasn't sure, and they said very clearly it's for management to understand the operations of council and the relationship of council. When I watch it, I'll be able to tell exactly, council campaign for it, they have the city run, why don't you give it to council? So you will be the problem with that. Let me tell you what let me tell you what my thought process was.
Yeah.
I thought we could have it here, kumbaya, with council and the whole senior staff. That's what I thought. But sometimes some of these things, when they're geared towards staff, it's staff. But when they're geared towards council, you can invite senior staff. So it's kind of a line that you draw when it comes to municipal governments. But I'll definitely let you know.
I guess I'm looking at what you put in here, and it's successful municipality is the relationship between the
Yes.
council and its management team. So I think it would be relevant. But anyways, we'll move on. If anybody else has any questions regarding okay, so the to-do list, are there any questions on the action list? Pardon?
Should I give you a little bit of
Yes.
I mean, I know the MD said they wanted to organize the meeting with PY, but what I did was I called Lannis Goshen, and I've tried to arrange with her to get the chair and council, and I've given some optional dates. Then I will call the MD and set up a date. PY, let's do it, let's get out of the way. Okay, so that's what I've done with that.
What are the dates?
No, I don't have the dates yet.
Okay.
Yeah, she's going to send that to me. The one to do with terms of reference, we have Dave McRae here, so he gave us information, which is leading to the fact that we can use our intermunicipal negotiating committee to do that. So that may have to come off. We don't need formal terms of reference to get that done.
What motion is that?
It's 335/14. 335/14. The fourth one,
Yeah.
yes. Just a quick update on that. The one to do with 336/14, that will go to the municipal negotiating committee as well. And then 381/14, I made a call to Simone at NADC. Went through the grassroots program with Keli Tamaklo. He knows not little, but he knows about the program. So Kelly's going to have a follow-up discussion with Simone. We need to advertise for the bursary and all kinds of, so I think he's going to be on top of things, Keli Tamaklo, with 381/14. I've told Crystal that we need to separate the budget deliberations from this because it's building up as a separate sheet so that it's not confounding what we have. So we're going to separate whatever is going to 2015 budget deliberation on a separate sheet. We'll still present it to you, but we'll be to delineate exactly what we need to do now from what we're sending to budgets. Okay, that'll be helpful. Alan and Marcus looked into the cost of the 6-speed and is getting some information for us this week. So just to give an update, that is 415/14, 443/14. The information has been sent to the lawyers. 44414 is part of the previous one. The seat cleaning staff, I think I'll wait for the treasurer to come around and then have this chat with the seat cleaning plan in a very diplomatic way, knowing that it's a very sensitive issue.
Their meeting's not until October, so if you want to
Oh, I say about that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's about my update on the to-do list. Just to let you know where things are at.
Okay, Councillor Deynaka?
Councillor Emter was first.
No, you go ahead.
Councillor Deynaka?
I'm not sure process in this, but, I would like to change the motion regarding 384-1, excuse me, -14/14 moved by Councillor Carrier that council for the High Prairie District Museum and Historical Society request for grant funding to repaint the mural on the 2015 deliberations.
Who started that?
384/14.
Okay.
The reason I'm not sure of the process or the procedure is that this is for the mural, but it was never requested by the High Prairie District Museum Society or Historical Society. They're requesting to just repaint the building. So I don't know how to, being that their request for the mural wasn't made by them, I don't know how to, the process of changing that.
Mr.
So after my report, then you can rescind that if that's your wish.
Councillor Carrier?
Councillor's wish.
That's what you were going to say, okay. Is there anything else, Councillor Deynaka?
No.
Councillor Emter, did you have something?
Yeah, about a month ago, I'm trying to recall correctly, there was another committee put together. Councillor Rose was put on the committee with the MD of Big Lakes. We were waiting for the terms of reference. Have we received them?
Yeah, we received the terms of reference similar to the Partners in Prosperity,
Okay.
which is the basis for that committee anyway. So
Okay.
So have they been approved by the, what are they calling it, the Regional Collaboration Group?
have they been approved?
Have they adopted?
Yeah.
Adopted?
It's the basis for their organization anyway. Will they improve upon it?
Have they
Possibly.
adopted?
I don't know whether they've adopted it, but I was part of the meeting that used the Partners in Prosperity as a basis to form that organization. So they have terms of reference to guide them. As to whether they're going to use that differently, I don't know.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Emter?
Yeah.
Any other questions, Councillor Carrier?
Motion number 313-14, in regards to having something put in the paper for Buchanan Lumber and something welcoming West Fraser. Are we moving at all on this issue? What's happening with it? I think it's kind of taking its time getting done.
At the intermunicipal meeting, Reeve Matthews said that he wanted to send letters out to other community members to see if they want to participate.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Rose?
On 38114, first, thank you very much that this is getting going and we're gonna move forward this, return service scholarship arrangement. But I think that, I mean, not that it's probably a big issue right now because it's just in the working stages, but it says Northern Alberta Development Council Medical Bursary Fund. And the return service is open to any, it's not just the medical field. I know they have one specific bursary that's medically related, industry,
Yes.
but this one, I think the agreement with the NADC is for us to choose whoever would get the bursary. It didn't matter what line of education they were going into.
Yeah, that's just the account number on the balance sheet. It says, on our balance sheet, where the money is coming from, it says the medical bursary fund, but we're very much aware that the bursary is open.
Okay.
Okay. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
On our balance sheet, that's the name.
That's the name of our GL. It's got nothing to do with
With what you're doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Long?
But to avoid confusion down the road, maybe the terminology medical shouldn't be there at all. Just,
He can rename the GL.
just delete medical.
That's the motion that was passed, but we know what agreement we have with the NADC.
All right, any other comments? Could I have a motion then to adopt the CEO's report? Councillor Long?
move that, the council accept and pass CEO's report. support an actions list for information.
All in favor? It's carried. Next item. Councillor Deynaka?
I would like to make a motion to, to rescind motion 384/14, moved by Councillor Carrier that Council Board of the High Prairie District Museum and Historical Society request for grant funding to repaint the mural to the 2015 budget deliberations.
Alright, have you got that? All in favor? It's carried. Any other motions?
Do I have to make a new motion?
Mm-hmm. To paint the whole building,
Oh, you said.
not a mural. Now they want us to paint it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes?
I would request, instead of just stating a motion, cause we have nothing from the museum.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you
so
do-
I would have the
okay.
museum send us their request, and then we'll bring it back, and then you send it.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Emter?
Go ahead, Cal.
Okay, sorry.
For action two.
Okay, well, I was gonna move on. So I was gonna make a motion that council receive the Big Leagues and Family Community Sports Services report for May 2014 for information.
All in favor? It's carried now.
Oh, no, I was going to ask whether there was any interest in the retreat workshop, which is what I told them about. We passed
Okay.
that today.
Is there any interest in the retreat workshop?
In what, sorry?
The retreat workshop that I mentioned today.
Yes, yeah, I'm interested in doing some of that.
Councillor Emter?
Oh, I'm definitely interested, I just don't like the price tag that is associated with Eli Manning, so, or not Manning,
Nina.
Eli Mina. If there's another way of getting this workshop, through municipal affairs, I know, Robert James, out of Calgary, another parliamentarian, I'd be willing to look at that.
What about a short one for maybe 2 weeks? You want it or you want it?
Could you speak up, please?
Could you speak?
Getting quieter and quieter in here.
Sorry?
Speak up, please.
And then he said you're getting quieter.
Thank you, Papa. So my question is, do you want the one for next week? The short one? And I'll still go ahead with the one for municipal affairs. It could be end of August, it could be October, considering that Madam Chair will not be here in September, I'll be considering that, right? And then the short one, do you want to have it? Next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, this something that work for you? Next 2 weeks? You want something before then? I don't know. I need to hear from.
Next week works fine.
Councillor Carrier?
Make a motion that council have a workshop Wednesday evening from 6 till 10.
What date is that?
July
16th,
16th, that's
a week
next
from today.
Wednesday. That works with me.
And what time?
6 to 10.
Who would be putting on the workshop?
I will.
You.
Yeah.
Are you qualified?
I hope so. I hope so. I just want to make sure Jeff hears me. I hope so. I hope so.
July.
16.
Are we in agreement?
Call the question.
All in favor? It's carried.
Yes, we are.
6 to 10.
Yeah, we'll bring this up at 5.
Also, Sellers at 5.
Where?
We should look for the text set or here. Or this one, either this small room.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Sounds good. It's
Yes.
free.
It's free. Okay. And if it's not available, then give me the text set.
6
Huh?
to 10.
It's available?
Five, is that-
It's available, here it's available. 5, we'll have some outside.
All right. Is there anything else before we move forward to the verbal reports? You have my report. items that I'd like to add. I was at a Northern Alberta elected leaders meeting, which I will report on in more detail at the next meeting. But they have walking trails through wooded area in the creek. They don't have a problem with roots growing up through these trails. And when I spoke to the person who was in charge of the trails, when I said that we have trees growing through our trail, he said, why don't you take a plow on either side of the trail and cut those roots? And I said, that sounds to me like a pretty easy suggestion. Councillor Emter?
Having spoken with the town manager, they did use a ditch witch on both sides previously, but you can only go so deep. And the problem for us here is that because it's located next to the river, the ecological damage of spraying is what's halted us on a lot of it.
I think we could investigate a plow
We could redo it though.
more than ditch witch. I don't know how deep a ditch witch goes, but
Well, it depends, but they can go down like 5, 8 feet.
And they just
Well,
chew it
then-
all up.
well then, what, and it didn't work?
Well, it did for a while, but maybe we haven't done it for a while. I don't know.
And,
Yes, Councillor Long?
and the problem when you're building trails around cottonwoods and poplars and those types, that they sucker so that your root systems are all over. And as you go through them and cut them, there's still gonna be those that are deeper down. But even if you cut them, the roots that stay underneath that asphalt have the ability of rising up. And so even though they've been cut, they'll still come up to the surface eventually and cause that buckling. So unfortunately, the problem starts right from the beginning when it got built. That's,
These trails in the creek are built right through the woods, poplar woods. They don't have
Yeah.
problems that we're having. They really don't.
Yeah.
I walked on.
they probably have a
Councillor,
membrane underneath that protects it.
Councillor Deynaka?
I just have a question. The trails that were done by the Gruard piece trail that's through the bushes, is it just a trail or is it a paved trail? It's just a bush gravel?
Bush.
Okay.
And the other, so I would suggest that Public Works look into doing that cut, because there's a lot of people that are complaining about the walking trails. And the other one is, I have spoken to Hector Goudreau, and he has asked whether we have put in an application for funding for the lift station, and I don't think we have put that application in, have we?
For MSI, we have.
And it was turned down, so we have the paperwork that it was turned down?
No. There are two types. I mean, we put in the application for MSI grants. I just spoke to them today. A few questions were asked, and it's going to be approved.
No, I'm talking about the one for the lift station funding that Ted Duffy was talking about. Councillor Emter?
Is that the one where we didn't qualify because it wasn't the last sewer lift on the system?
When we were
Maybe they're
told.
willing to blink on our application.
Did we put an
I
application
don't know
in?
what we're talking about.
Alberta Infrastructures.
Yeah, we met with the gentleman from Peace River, and
And-
the guy that actually made the qualifications for the system was in the room.
Yeah. And I spoke to Daddy about a month ago, and they don't have any money.
Did we put an application in anyways to get rejected?
So we,
Mr. Goudreau said if he had an application that was put in and rejected, please forward it.
I'll check from Public Works.
Cause I don't think we can do any lobbying if we haven't been rejected.
Yeah. Put my hand up.
Yeah,
First.
Madam Chair, let's be open and frank. We all met with them in BC, and we were told that they were not going to fund this. So why would we go ahead and put in an application when we were told, all of us, you were in the room, that there was no money for funding?
That's because they are following the program guidelines, and I think we have to go to a political level. And Mr. Goudreau is chair of the rural caucus,
Okay.
and he has asked that we pursue this on a political level. Councillor Emter?
yeah, that's one of the things, MLA, Pearl Callahazen would, I don't see any applications.
Yeah.
How can I help you if you don't put in the application? That's what, like, one of the organizations I was with, that's what she was telling us, like, if you don't apply, how can I help you? Why call me if you're not applying? So whether, if you apply and it gets turned down, then you go back to them and play the political cards, the vote cards.
So you're telling me that we should apply to a better infrastructure, and we have a high possibility of getting funding, is that what I'm hearing?
We'll get turned down, and then we'll go to Hector Goudreau, and then we'll say, hey,
But
and then we might get some
okay.
funding.
Our funding process, that the way it works, we have so many funding sources that we go for money from. Until we know that there's money somewhere, we just don't close the dots. So if you have some political insight telling us that we should apply, we will. But we just don't apply to everywhere and anywhere, because there's no way we can be able to tell. But if you're telling us that there's a possibility to get funding, I'll get it, folks. We put together the package and send it out.
And it will be probably refused. However, we have to have the refusal in order to move forward.
Political. So it's good
So,
that they're looking at
I
it.
also need a resolution from council to continue lobbying for funding support for the sewer lift station and the railway avenue. Because unless council directs me further, I'm not really supposed to be lobbying politicians on this. So I need a resolution to say yes, continue lobbying. And first I'm going to accept the report for information.
Question.
Yes?
I had a question about your report first.
Yes.
It was brought to my attention from a concerned citizen when you went to the McLennan 100-year celebration. There was all their communities involved, and every community there was able to present McLennan with some sort of a gift, i.e. a small tree, a plaque, a bouquet of flowers, and unfortunately the town of High Prairie wasn't able to present anything. I think this was this must have been very embarrassing for our mayor. When I heard that, I even got embarrassed, so apologies. And I think that we need to make sure that whenever we send our mayor anywhere where there's something like this, and I thought we had a policy in place already, but apparently not, at least be able to send whoever goes with a plaque, flowers, something. I think it looked very bad on the town of High Prairie not sending anything.
Yeah, there were presentations each time, however.
So hopefully, if I have to make an RFD, I wouldn't mind sitting down with you. We'll get something done so that this never happens again.
Thank you. All right.
Was there an authorization from council to go to the back of them?
Yep.
And council did not have any information to provide anything else, because
The request was for someone to represent the town.
sorry,
The request was for someone to represent the town. There was nothing about a gift
yeah.
in celebration.
So I would like to sit down with you, Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
create something so that this never happens again.
Okay. All right, are there any other questions on my report? Councillor Rose?
Just further to this conversation, and how would we avoid the situation? I mean, I imagine anything that we're gonna attend or asked to attend, maybe at the individual councillor or mayor has to research it to the point where we know what's the expectation. Because, I mean, the letter didn't give any of us the impression that we should have supplied you with a bouquet of flowers to leave, otherwise we would have, sort of done that. So like, I mean, you knew what you were going to, right? I mean, how would we correct this situation? Like, you probably were surprised that there was gifts handed out, right? So how would anybody have known any different to provide you with the information?
I guess I would have expected administration to guide me in this matter because they have more experience than I do. This is one of the few times that I've ever gone anywhere in that method where I am coming to provide congratulations. Whereas your CEO, well, he's been through a lot of these different things with his different jobs and everything, and I would have thought he would have stepped forward and said, well, you're gonna need something. So, I don't have the experience in those matters. Anything else? Okay. I move my report for information. All in favor? And I need a resolution.
motion that we authorize the mayor or any councillor to enter into discussions regarding the lift station and 49th Street with lobby,
Is it
with
50
lobby,
50th Avenue.
or 50th Avenue, so.
Right. All in favor?
Madam Chair,
Yes?
I think we have set a very serious precedent here. The process is if council wants to discuss issues, to bring their issues here and get specific direction. Now we're giving blanket authorization to all council to go out there and talk town business. When the Johnson report was very, very clear about delineating between those two.
But this
I
is
mean-
lobbying and discussing, right? I guess that's the thing, when you're meeting with, somebody, you should be able to talk to them about those issues that are pertaining to your town. And you don't always know when you're gonna be meeting with them, but if you get their ear, you wanna talk to them. And I think every council, whether, whoever it is, should be bringing these things up and hammering on it.
Councillor Long?
Yes, you're right, and we do. I think whenever we have an opportunity, as we went and met with, our MLA. But I think when it comes to a blanket cart, that the communication policy wants to throw it all out the window, because then it's all of us, you might be going with your opinion, I'll go with my opinion. Councillor Emter, will go with his opinion, none of them being the same with the direction of council. The council's direction may be considerably different from ours, so.
Okay, so maybe what we should be with this particular motion is for funding to help support, cause then it's something that we know all of council is supporting, right? Funding for those two projects, then that would address that issue.
That specific issue, yes.
Councillor Emter?
I would hope that council realizes we're all here to work together and we're trying to promote together. So when another councillor was in the city of Edmonton with the local MLA and met with other ministers and lobbied
Absolutely.
on our behalf,
Yep.
I hope that he acted with good interests of the town. I hope that each one of us has the ability to go ahead and do this. We're not saying, hey, give me $1.50 or give me $2 million or anything like that. We're saying, we need help.
Absolutely.
Give me help.
Yep.
Right? Like, nobody questioned Councillor Long when he was in Edmonton and met with different ministers in regards to the town.
But I had direction of approval of council to do so.
Prior?
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
believe so.
Yes, it did.
Because there was a report given afterwards.
Yes, there was.
It did.
Okay, I'll look into it.
But, I'm not opposed to this, but in view of good governance again.
Because there's no cost.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, in view of good governance, it will set council all over the place with no definite purpose. The ministerial directive was very clear that I directed mayor and all councillors to discontinue the practice of taking actions on behalf of the town, even though it says that unless authorized by bylaw or resolution. So there are certain areas that you make a decision and are very specific what you want the mayor or deputy mayor to do or the specific councillor to do, and it helps in guiding you in a very systematic way. I guess from my point of view, just scared that you might decide that might go out of hand.
So
I
if we're
did-
very specific about funding for these two projects, then it sort of allows that to go ahead.
It speaks to the resolution. And I did discuss this with Alex at Municipal Affairs, and she was the one that said, you need a resolution to continue your law. So you gotta take it to council, and you have to get that resolution, which I have done. All right, is there any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Can I get the motion in red, please?
Motion is read, please.
Moved by Councillor Panasiuk that council authorize the mayor and council to continue lobbying the provincial government for grant funding on the sewer lift station of 50th Ave.
Perfect, you caught my amendment just right.
All in favor? It's carried. All right, Councillor Carrier,
No report at this time.
Councillor Deynaka.
You have my report in front of you.
Any questions on the report?
Any questions? for information.
All in favor? Carried. Councillor Emter?
I just have a verbal report. I only had one meeting, or I was supposed to attend one meeting between the last council meeting and today, and that was the July 7th High Prairie District Golf Committee. I sent my regrets to committee member Dave Temple, stating I'd be away on vacation, would be able to attend. I'd like to inform everybody that the rec board has appointed Mr. Daniel Steiner as the new rec director effective July 21st, 2014, coming from the MD of Big Lakes. And I want to thank Councillor Rose and Councillor Carrier for their positive comments online. Move my report. Any questions? Second call. Final call. Move my report for information.
All in favor? Carried. Councillor Long?
Nothing to report this time.
Councillor Panasiuk?
One meeting, and that was with the Waste Authority over the last couple of weeks, and it was basically regarding the hauling contract for the Waste Authority. They had put it out for tender. They had one person tender. They didn't like it, so they put it out a second time. The second time, they had actually 4 people bid on it. Prices were much better, and a contractor was selected. It happened to be the same contractor that has had the contract in the past, and that's a local person, Clayton Stewart. And he was the low bidder, got the contract. So that's it. That was the highlight of it. Any questions? I moved I'm not going to the second and third. Just move for information.
All in favor? Carried. Councillor Rose?
Had no meetings, so I really don't have very much to report on, but I'm just gonna pass this, you can pass it down. Which is something that I talked about in the past. And, just been doing a little bit of research for us on the branding and, corporate sponsorship programs, the business, partnership programs. That there is a workshop or some sort of presentation in the fall. I wanna do a little more research and then maybe provide everybody with a little bit of detail to see whether there's, what kind of value. I've talked to the person, this Brent, the president and CAO, about, sort of the value of this sponsorship, partnership program with naming, buildings and taking a look at the values of the things that you have in your community and being able to sort of fundraise within the community. And he sort of suggested that this was something to take a look at, sending a couple people from council maybe to that, or he has some online workshop type stuff that we can look at, and that might be something we might wanna consider, just to see if there's some value in this program, as well as there's a branding company that we actually looked at when we went to the AUMA that did the rebranding of a few areas. Nantucket, I think, was one of them, and they actually work with this company, and sort of there's an opportunity to look at rebranding and a sponsorship program for your area in conjunction. And I got an email from the fellow that runs the branding company, and he said that he'd be more than willing to come up and present to council what they could offer, but they can provide this information to administration and they can fish through it a little bit more and see if it's of value. Anybody have any questions? It's not really a report, but just for your information.
So, no report then? And there's, I did have a question about the website. Are our reports being posted on the website?
Yeah. If they're brought in with the agenda package, then they're in the agenda.
Are they posted separately, since our timesheets and,
It'd be part of the agenda,
It's part of the agenda, it's public.
minutes.
yes, but I actually would like the reports posted, at least I myself would like my reports posted with my site where it talks about the biography, which is non, but, I mean, I think that you're allowed to go, you can click on the counselor and you can get more information, that's where the timesheets and expense accounts were. So, well, since we've taken that off, I would think that our reports could go there. I know a lot of websites in, other communities have, well, Slave Lake is one, has the mayor's blog quite prominently, but I would go with just having my report posted there. Does anyone else have any comments on that?
Not a bad idea.
Well, my suggestion is, all these reports are provided as public information for everybody else. What I think council should be doing is working as a team with its resolutions and the decisions that they make on behalf of the town, rather than trying to get each council member's report here, get each council's report there. It doesn't actually reflect the uniformity of the council as a team. The resolutions that you make as council should be the prominence for council, so that you are being seen as a team in terms of the decision that you make. I mean, that's my 1 cent on it.
Well, that's true, but I would like, I think if people want to know what councillors and mayors are doing, they could go to the site. I mean, what would be the point of, you've got the councillors all listed, and we've got contact information, and that's it. I mean, we have a website here that's supposed to be communicative, it's supposed to be transparent and provide information to people, and yet you're saying, well, no, don't put it on because you're not a team, it's not a team thing.
Some people write more than others, but I think that's.
So I'm penalized and other people are penalized, Donna writes a good report, she's penalized, other people, like, I don't understand why that's not a team thing. Yes, yes, Councillor
I'm not
Emter.
sure why you see it being penalized. I'm finding it extremely difficult to sit down for an hour and write up a report and give an in-depth review of what I've done over the last 2 weeks. I can't seem to find the time.
Okay.
Okay. Your report is precise, it's consistent, it's 2 to 3 pages on average. It's included in the agenda, it's approved at the next meeting, it's available online with the report. It would be nice if you could add it. I could see that as a communication tool, but it's there already. It is available. I can see the perception that you're putting more effort in than Quentin is because you have 2 pages written up. You've got 17, meetings where you've got links to all these things. I'm just saying, if you want to talk about fairness, right?
Well, that's why we took off the expense accounts, because some people typed them and some people scratched them out. So, there go the expense accounts. Timesheets, same thing. Get rid of them because some people typed them and some people didn't. So, I'm just saying, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking for transparency and accountability and we talk about communicating, and yet we make it as hard as possible to communicate. We have a Facebook page. There's an item on that. It was drawn to my attention that construction. There's a clip on the new construction. It says contact the manager roads and facilities if you have any questions. But is the phone number given there? No. Go find it somewhere else.
But
We don't
It's given
look.
there.
We don't look to make it easy for people to
is there an email link?
Yes.
There's an email link.
email.
You just, when it says contact the manager of roads and facilities, you click on manager and roads and facilities, it goes straight to his contact card.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to be very hard on this issue.
You have to
Like,
speak
for-
up.
Yeah, for the timesheets and all of those things, avenues are provided by the NGA for transparency and accountability. A it's in the financial statements, it's in the audited financial statements. People can get access to all of this. That's what we call transparency and accountability. As a team, your resolutions that you make makes the public see you as making the decisions. Once you begin to put something forward in the newspaper, your report, in this and that, it puts you ahead of your team. So you want to build a team. I think you should be uniformly doing things so that you are seen as a team. It's just my
And that's how the school dumbs down to the lowest common denominator because we're not allowed to do anything different. Okay, I just thought it would be something worthwhile, but far be it from me to not be a team member. I am a team member, although a lot of people take a lot of time to tell me I'm not a team member. But I feel I am a good team member. I bring things forward that people bring to me on a regular basis. If I wasn't a team member, I wouldn't even try to do any of this. I would just turn around and say, not interested. Councillor Rose.
We do have the council Facebook page too, and I've been sending out emails to everybody with suggestions if anybody wanted to put some input into what we place on that. So if you felt that there was some things that you want to put, like I've never got a response from you when I've sent out those emails, so I don't know, like if you want to provide some information, we can add different items there, and then we're coming out as one face. It's called a council update, right? So that it's all the things that either resolutions of council or messages that we'd like the community to have. That you know, that everybody sort of mostly agrees on. I mean, I know we're not going to get responses back from everybody, but you know, when I send them out, I get half of everybody sort of sending back saying, yeah, it's fine, or add this or add that. So I mean, you could.
I prefer using the website. I think that's what the website is for.
Well, and maybe there's some value if we have an opportunity to do some retreat work. Maybe there's some value to using those council pages in a way that is reflective of the things that we're doing. Because I agree with you. I think that it is important. I don't think people really get at all how hard this job is and how many things we're doing. So it is important that somehow some of that information gets out there. But should it be individually pointing at each person, or should it be more one group message as to the most important and pertinent sort of items that we're working on together in order to move sort of the agenda of the town forward?
Mayor,
Councillor Carrier.
if I can just draw your attention to procedure bylaw 27.1. All items on the agenda have been done, so is this meeting adjourned? Thank you.
Did you find out what happened to your piece of equipment?
What's that?
You asked me if I
Yeah,
should.
battery's probably gonna get on.
Did you apologize?
No. It kicked
Sure.
out. You told me to get